What's it like to use Disney's new Multipass system as a resort guest? Let's find out. Hello, Ma'am Fam. As you know, Disney recently completely overhauled their Skip the Line service, saying goodbye to Genie Plus forever and bringing in Lightning Lane Multipass. Now that the system has been fully functioning and been operational for over a week, I'm here to answer one of your biggest questions. What's it like to be a Disney World resort guest with new Multipass, knowing that you get some huge advantages if you are? So today and tomorrow, I am a Walt Disney World resort guest. I was able to book my Multipasses a week in advance, and I'm bringing you with me to the parks. Now, no, this is not any kind of challenge. I'm not trying to see how many I can do or do all of them. I'm just gonna act like an average guest visiting Walt Disney World, park hopping between all 4 parks over the next 2 days, trying to hit the highlights in each park and focusing on using the new system. Along the way, I'm gonna share tips, I'm gonna share tricks, I'm gonna compare what it's like to be a non-resort guest, and hopefully give you a realistic look at what it's like to visit Walt Disney World and use Multipass. And speaking of being a resort guest, a big thank you to today's sponsor, Be Our Guest Vacations. We have partnered with them. They are our preferred travel agency. I'll get into more about why you should use a travel agency now more than ever later in this video, but just know, first and foremost, they can get you the very best deals on room rates here in Walt Disney World, which can be, spoiler alert, very beneficial to this new system. But for now, let's take it over to Resort Molly, who's gonna break down everything I booked for today, remind you a few basics about Multipass, and then it's time to have some fun. Now, before we go have fun in Hollywood Studios, let's take it back to a week ago when I was able to book my selections. Now, as a very, very basic overview and friendly reminder, the new system is called Lightning Lane Multipass and Lightning Lane Single Pass, aka Fancy Rides. Multipass is what replaced Genie Plus, and that's where for one fee you can book multiple attractions across multiple parks throughout your day. Fancy Rides maintain the same way they operated before, where those attractions are so popular that to skip the line there, it is a individual fee for that attraction per person. The biggest difference between Multipass and Genie Plus is the fact that you can pre-book in advance 3 attractions in each park in addition to your Fancy Rides. Again, you do not have to book Fancy Rides in order to book Multipass, or vice versa. You can book one or the other, but I did book both. Booking those attractions in advance takes place prior to day of, which is another huge change from Genie Plus. And resort guests, your booking window opens up 7 days prior to check-in for your entire stay, up to 14 days. So if you have a 7-day stay, you can book your Multipass Lightning Lanes 1 week from check-in for your whole vacation, which is a huge, huge perk. Non-resort guests can book 3 days in advance of their ticket start date. We're gonna look at the end of this video, a side-by-side comparison of the same day, 7 days out versus 3 days out, so you could really see how big of a perk staying at a resort is. And if you haven't already watched our first Multipass video, definitely go check that one out, because I literally sat in my house for 30 minutes and break down everything you need to know about the system, screenshots, ride recommendations, and then I went into the park and showed how to use it in real time. So of course today I'm gonna be talking about what I'm seeing, I'm gonna be showing you availability, and I'm gonna be in the park with the system functioning. But for the best, most robust coverage and breakdown of the system, definitely watch that other video too. Okay, so let's take it back to a week ago when my booking window opened up. It opens up at 7 a.m. Eastern. So sorry to my West Coast friends. And I was able to book for my parks. Now, I knew I was gonna park hop today. A lot of you have requested park hopping, so I'm gonna start at Hollywood Studios and I'm gonna park hop into Epcot, which means my Multipass I was booking at Hollywood Studios, and then I decided to book a Fancy Ride at Epcot, which is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. I could have also booked Rise of the Resistance, but I decided to mix it up a little bit since I rode that for the last Multipass video. Now, I also want to point out a huge advantage of this system is that you can book them all at once. Previously, you could buy and purchase and book your Genie Plus attractions, and then booking your Fancy Rides was a separate transaction. Now, on that 7 a.m. booking, you can book all of it all together. You can even book Fancy Rides across different parks. You can book everything for one day at the same time. In fact, when I selected Multipass at Hollywood Studios and then a Fancy Ride at Epcot, it asked me which one I planned to do first, so I selected Hollywood Studios, and from there I selected what I think are the best first picks available for Hollywood Studios, which is out of your Tier 1 attractions, Slinky Dog Dash, and out of your Tier 2 attractions, Toy Story Mania and Tower of Terror. As another change to the system, harkening back to FastPass Plus, on Multipass, there are 2 different tiers. There's Tier 1, which are the more popular attractions, and then Tier 2. This is true for all the parks except for Disney's Animal Kingdom. So when you're doing that initial booking, you can book 1 in Tier 1, 2 in Tier 2, or all 3 in Tier 2. And again, in that other video, I break down exactly what my recommendations are, what you should be prioritizing. Once you've selected what you'd like, the system's gonna generate best case times for you. It's gonna factor in any dining reservations you have and not book anything around the same times as those. It's gonna factor in the question I asked earlier, which park are you going to first? And it's gonna give you some availability. Now you can modify this, but keep in mind, you only have 5 minutes on this initial booking window. So my recommendation, if you see something you wanna tweak and you can tweak it easily, do it there. Otherwise, go ahead and lock in those attractions, and then you can always modify afterwards. One thing I have learned now booking in a 7-day resort window a couple times for different tests and things, as well as this video, is that the first hour, so from like 7 to 8, there tends to be more flexibility because people are going in, it's locking them in for 5 minutes, and then they're going out. So things tend to be a little more fluid, a little more, you may be able to grab a few more things. So go ahead and lock in what you want and then try and modify if you don't have the exact times that you'd like. You can also continue to check over the next few days to see if there's anything that you can modify to see if anything opens up. So after a couple modifications to the times, I got all the rides I wanted, no problem. I have Slinky Dog Dash, Tower of Terror, Toy Story Mania, and Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. Now, one thing I am gonna note that's a little unique right now is that sometimes the timing availability is better for the Tier 1 attractions versus the Tier 2 attractions, just because people are able to choose 2 Tier 2s and everybody's going for the same ones, especially at Hollywood Studios. Everybody's going for Tower of Terror and Toy Story Mania because those are your best choices for Tier 2s. So I was actually able to get a better time for Slinky Dog, the Tier 1, than I was for Toy Story Mania. But full availability for both Hollywood Studios and Epcot when booking today. Maybe not every single time for all of them, because again, there are people that got to book before me because they had resort stays that overlapped, but still plenty of availability, not really any concerns a week out as far as these 2 parks go when I was booking. But I wanted to compare that to a day of situation. Again, we're gonna do 3-day versus 7-day at the end of this video. I got a whole bunch of information on that. Looking at Hollywood Studios this morning at 9 o'clock, again, this is not recommended. It's definitely recommended to book in advance, but to compare, Slinky Dog Dash was unavailable as well as Rise of the Resistance. I was not able to select times for either of those. They were marked as unavailable. I could select any of the other Tier 1s as well as Tower of Terror and Toy Story Mania. Toy Story Mania didn't have times until the evening. Tower of Terror didn't have times until mid-afternoon, but there was pretty good availability with the Tier 1s. And again, I think that's because you can book only one of them. There tends to be more availability for those initially throughout the day. Of course, I also looked at Epcot. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind was available, as well as all of the Tier 1s, which was delightful. I was able to get Frozen Ever After mid-afternoon and a late evening Guardians of the Galaxy. It was also mid-afternoon for Spaceship Earth and later evening for Mission Space. Again, those are your Tier 2s that I think are gonna go quicker. I also checked at Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, and that wasn't available until the late evening. But still, this morning at 9 a.m., everything was available. So that's just something to consider. I don't think it would be a great use of money to get into the park, realize there's long lines, and then try and book the system because you are at such a disadvantage for using it at that point. So at least try and book it the morning of. And with that, we've got our first lightning lane to get to, so let's go. Wow, Resort Molly, that was some really great information. Very illuminating. Looks like you set up the perfect agenda to get this day started, which is exactly what we're doing right now. Headed to Slinky Dog Dash, got into the park about 11:30 because I think a lot of people didn't like getting up at 7 a.m. to book Genie Plus and are excited that they don't have to. So, spoiler alert, gonna get into the parks earlier tomorrow, but for today, started a little bit later in case you're the kind of person who likes to sleep in or grab a breakfast or something. If you're not the kind of person that likes to sleep in or grab a breakfast, don't forget, rope drop, get a couple attractions in before the lines get long. That's still a great tactic to conquering these parks. And we've done a whole series on rope dropping as resort guests with that early park entry, and that information stays the same. So go check those out as well. If you are a fan of stacking and coming in the later afternoon, unfortunately, that's no longer an option. So it's to your advantage to use the system earlier rather than later. Hi, Rex. I love you. Slinky Dog Dash is definitely the most popular choice here in Hollywood Studios. It's your Tier 1 attraction. It's the one that's gonna run out of lightning lanes first. Currently has a posted wait time of 75 minutes. So I highly recommend making this your first priority when booking your Hollywood Studios multi-passes. This cute coaster has a 38-inch height requirement, and I always make the joke that it's got more bark than it looks like. It's a very fun family coaster, a lot of zips and dips, and it's in this adorably themed land. I'm a big fan of it. I'm an even bigger fan of it at night because it looks even cuter, but anytime's a good time to ride Slinky Dog. Hello. Now this is very important, friends, because tapping into your first multi-pass lightning lane, multi-pass and single pass, aka fancy rides, do not function together. So if I'm talking about multi-passes, I'm only talking about multi-passes. But tapping into your first one unlocks the ability to book another one because you can always have 3, which means once you tap into one, book another one. But it not only unlocks the ability to book another one, you could actually book another tier 1 attraction in this park. So if available, I could book Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, or Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, or Rock and Roller Coaster. But not only that, it also unlocks the ability of park hopping. If you've got park hopping on your ticket, once you've tapped into your first attraction, you can start booking multi-passes, tier 1 or tier 2, at another park. So once I tap in, I'm gonna see what else I can book for my 4th multi-pass, and I'm gonna see if I can change my later Toy Story Mania to anything else better. Hello. Thank you. So now that I've tapped in, most attractions only use 1 touch point, but I usually ask at the front just to make sure. But now that I've gone through both here at Slinky Dog, I can book again. Also, once you've tapped into your first one, you can modify any current attractions you have to another park or tier 1s. All right, first of all, let's see what else is available to book. I think I'm gonna go try and book at Epcot because I know Frozen Ever After and Remy's are hot commodities. Let's see if either one's available. Doesn't look like it. We'll try fiddle faddling a couple times. That's what I call refreshing the tip board or the modify screen to get you some more options.
Welcome to Slinky Dog Day. I'm Slinky Dog. Now, for your safety, remember to stay seated with all your parts.
All right, no Frozen, no Remy's, but I'm gonna go ahead and book Spaceship Earth and see if we can modify that later.
Por favor, permanezcan sentados con las manos, brazos, pies y piernas dentro del vehículo y vigilen a sus pequeños.
All right, was able to modify that so it's later in the day when I'm headed over to Epcot, and now I'm gonna attempt to modify Toy Story Mania to a tier 1 attraction.
Welcome to Slinky Dog Day.
Heck yes.
I'm Slinky.
All other tier 1s are still available.
Keep an eye on your little
I'm gonna go for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Slinky Dog Day.
355 to 455. Continue. And there you go. Slinky Dog Dash, check. It really is such a cute attraction. And again, by tapping into your first multi-pass, very important because it unlocks a whole new world of possibilities. And again, I booked next one over at Epcot, and I modified Toy Story Mania, which I had later this afternoon for a different tier 1 attraction. So now I've got Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, as well as Spaceship Earth. Are either of those things exactly what I want? No, but I believe in the power of the fiddle faddle. I believe I will be able to modify them into something else I want, using especially the brand new Mega Faddle TM. Again, if you're new or you've not watched our Genie Plus videos that existed before this, Fiddle Faddle is a term I coined actually way back when with FastPass Plus, which just simply means to refresh the tip board because more things can populate. As people's plans change and they cancel them, or the attractions realize they can have more guests than normal, things are going to become available, and you just have to be lucky enough to get one of those spots. Previously, you could Fiddle Faddle on the tip board or the modify screen to modify the time of that attraction, or hopefully grab an attraction that was previously gone. Previously, you could only do it in that park, but now you can Fiddle Faddle across all 4 parks once you've unlocked Park Hopper by tapping into your first multi-pass, which is why I call it the Mega Faddle, because it has unlocked a whole new world for all of us. Now, for me, Fiddle Faddling on the modify screen is way better because 1, it allows you to have that option of all 4 parks without having to load the tip board from each park individually, and 2, you can pin your favorites to the top. Previously, you could do that on the tip board. Now you can only see it on the modify screen. The way to do this on the My Day screen, it's gonna say Get Started Planning. Click Get Started Now, select which park you're going to first, pick your top attractions at that park. It's going to also ask you if you want like princess recommendations, if you want to see height and accessibility information, but go ahead and select those attractions that you want pinned to the top of the modify screen, the most important ones for your family. Hint, the ones that run out quickly. To add a second park, like I'm going to Epcot today, scroll down further on the My Day page and it'll say plan for your next park. Pick what park that's going to be, pick which time you think you're going to get there, and then you can do the same thing. So now, when I'm on that Mega Faddle Modify screen, I've got the attractions I want at both Epcot and Hollywood Studios pinned to the top of their respective tab, so that way I can easily see Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, Frozen Ever After, Rock and Roller Coaster, etc. And now, we're off to our second lightning lane. Couple of important things. One, I grabbed a shake of Jamaica. Lifeblood, right here at the Joffrey's Cart near the entrance of Toy Story Land. But while I was waiting in line, I fiddle-faddled a little bit because, again, I've got a little bit later Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway. It's at like 4, which is fine. It's afternoon. Like, that's not far away, but you know me. And 2, I've got Spaceship Earth over at Epcot, which I think is a good choice just because that's a tier 2. It tends to be going pretty quickly, but it's not what I want. So I started fiddle-faddling. I got by Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. I was mega-faddling from Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, and I saw Remy's Ratatouille Adventure pop up. Unfortunately, getting got is what I call it, where you're clicking it too slow and someone else gets it. So by the time it loads the confirm screen, it says, sorry, someone else got that. But that does give me hope that Remy's could come back. And 2, I fiddle-faddled enough to get that one at $12.35. So I've got 2 more back-to-back right now, and this is just like a couple minutes maybe on my phone in line to order a coffee. So I know a lot of people have the concern of like, you're on your phone all day. And you can be if you're wanting to get every single lightning lane, but you don't have to be. Next stop, Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. One of the most popular rides in Walt Disney World. 45-minute wait right now. It's actually pretty low for this attraction, so that's exciting. But still, longer than I want to wait in a line if I don't have to. This iconic favorite has a 40-inch height requirement and is a drop-style attraction that puts you in an elevator directly to the Twilight Zone. Because of its extreme popularity, a lot of people were shocked to discover it is a tier 2 attraction. But remember, a lot of factors go into deciding what's in what tier, including but not limited to popularity, also things like average wait time, ride capacity, and I'm sure Disney had a whole configuration to figure that out. But what's important to know about Tower of Terror, it tends to run out very quickly because it, again, along with Toy Story Mania, are definitely the best tier 2s you can choose from in that initial booking. So because so many people are booking this attraction 7 days out, it looks like as you get closer to it and the morning of, that the availability is very bad. It will run out and you'll be like, wow, Tower of Terror is gone for the whole day. But fear not, friends, for as the day goes on, every single day I've tracked this since the system started, which is every single day since the systems existed, it has come back with a multitude of times. So if you don't get Tower of Terror right away, or you don't get the time you want right away, I feel confident that on most days, unless it's super busy, you'd be able to fiddle-faddle for it later. All right, so now while I wait to board, I can book another one since I tapped in here at Tower of Terror. Gonna peruse my options, hoping for either maybe Rock and Roller Coaster here, or Toy Story Mania since I got rid of that one, or one of the good ones over at Epcot. So let's see. I could do Smuggler's Run. Not my favorite though. There's later Rock and Roller Coaster. There's no Toy Story Mania, so let's quickly check Epcot. None for Frozen, none for Remy's. So let's just go book that later Rock and Roller Coaster and hopefully we can fiddle-faddle it to something else. Tower of Terror, check. What an awesome attraction. The detail is just so unbelievable, not only on the ride itself and not only in the lobby, which is undoubtedly the best part, but just look around everywhere. Like the way that this whole courtyard has that decay and the overgrown vines and just the detail on the back of the attraction. I feel like a lot of people don't turn around and look at how detailed this whole building is. It's been around for a long time, 30 years, and it is still one of the greats. Now, as I talked about before loading my elevator, I was able to book another one. So I booked a late Rock and Roller Coaster. And now throughout the day, I'm going to add that to my occasional fiddle-faddle list to see if we can bump that up or swap it. But now, as I'm headed to my third lightning lane, I think it's a good time to do a pulse check on all the parks so you can see what's available. It's a little before 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and let's take a look. I'm only going to talk about the heavy hitters, and keep in mind this is without any fiddle faddling. This is just loading the tip board to see what's available. All right, Magic Kingdom, Tier 1 attraction, Big Thunder Mountain Railroads. Got time still around 5:30. Buzz Lightyear, Tier 2, 5:20. Haunted Mansion, Tier 2, 8:30. Jungle Cruise, Tier 1, 10:30. Winnie the Pooh, Tier 2, 7 o'clock. Pirates, Tier 2, 6:40. No Mine Train left, that's a fancy ride. Space Mountain, Tier 1, 5 o'clock. Tiana's Bayou Adventure, shockingly, no lightning lanes, but virtual queue enrolls in 2 minutes. Tron, no fancy rides, virtual queue loads in 2 minutes. Now let's go over to Epcot. No. Epcot, Frozen Ever After, none. Guardians, I have booked, but it says not available for purchase if I try to add someone to it, so that looks like it's out. Mission Space, Tier 2 is gone. Remy's Tier 1 is gone. Soarin' Tier 1, plenty of availability. Spaceship Earth, plenty of options. Now let's check here. Alien Swirling Saucers, 4:30. All the shows have availability for, looks like, their next available window. Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, I have that booked now, but it had plenty of time in the later afternoon as well. Smuggler's Run, that's a Tier 1, has availability starting at 5. Rock and Roller Coaster, I just booked availability at 8 o'clock. That was coming and going with late evening times. Slinky Dog is temporarily down and there's none available. Rise is temporarily down and none available for the fancy ride. Toy Story Mania has come back at 3:20, which is awesome. Tower is gone. And lastly, Disney's Animal Kingdom, again, the only park that does not have tiers. Flight of Passage, the fancy ride, has come back. It was gone earlier this morning, but it has come back. Dinosaur, 2:15. Everest in 5 minutes. All the shows have the next show time. Cali River Rapids is gone. Kilimanjaro's in 5 minutes, and Navi River Journey is gone. All right, we are arriving at our third attraction of the day, third Multipass Lightning Lane in less than an hour and a half. So things are going great. Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, again, this is a Tier 1 attraction, but this is the one I was able to modify Toy Story Mania into this one. I adore this attraction. I think it is so cute. It is a family attraction. It is the only attraction in Tier 1 that does not have a height requirement. And it's pretty popular. Normally has anywhere from a 45, 60, 70 plus minute wait, 45 minutes right now. And I'm excited that we were not only able to score this one, but fiddle faddle it for a very soon time. So let's go. Hello. Do you guys have another touch point on? Just this one? Cool. Thank you. All right. And since there's not another touch point here, as I just confirmed with the cast member, I can go ahead and book another one. Again, friends, always have 3. And what's great is if you're not sure if you can book another one, if you're losing track on the home screen as well as on the top of the tip board, it will say you can check for another one, or it will say you can book another one once you've redeemed one. So we're going to select on tip board. I'm once again going to look at both Epcot and here, because I could do a few more things here or another thing here before hopping over to Epcot. But we're going to see what's available. Frozen, oh my gosh. Can I get it? Can I get it? Can I get it? Oh my gosh, I think I got it. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Come on. Oh, it's glitching. Oh, it's glitching. Oh no. It glitched, so I hard reopened the app, and unfortunately, Frozen is gone now. But that gives me hope for later. Honestly, that's like the first glitch I've had with the app, so not gonna lie to you, that's pretty good. All right, no Frozen nor Remy. So let's see what's at Studios quick. I could do Smuggler's Run. I guess I'll go ahead and book Smugglers. And I'm going to try and modify it to something at Epcot or Toy Story. All right, there we go.
Includes my guided tour. Hope you had a relaxing ride around the park.
Just the cutest attraction, except for one thing. I will never get over how dirty they did Goofy in that style of cartoon animation. Generally, it's not my favorite, It's a little too like 90s Nickelodeon for my taste. I prefer the classic look at the characters. But overall, I think that attraction's adorable. Overall, I think Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Donald, Daisy, they all look lovely. But Goofy? Why? He is a single dad who put his son through college. What happened, Goofy? What made you this way? Where are your pants? Who are you, Donald? I'll never get over it. I've said it before, I'll say it again. But now, again, we've done 3 of the most popular rides in the park in 90 minutes. And I think we need to go have a little snack break. And now, while I enjoy this, I'm gonna do some fiddle faddling, see if we can move some of these other things that we have lined up. As a reminder right now, I have a 4:50 Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, 5:30 Spaceship Earth, 6 o'clock Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind Fancy Ride, and an 8:10 Rock and Roller Coaster. I'd like to do 1, maybe 2 more things in this park before going to Epcot, so I'd like to move up Rock and Roller Coaster or change that. I don't love Smuggler's Run, so I'd like to change that. I would be happy to do Toy Story Mania here, and then I'm also really hoping for Remy's or Frozen over at Epcot, but also could do Sword. And again, the beauty of the Mega Faddle is that when I go in here to modify Rock and Roller Coaster, I'm not only going to see if there's any more times for Rock and Roller Coaster up here, which it still has late times, and I can also go to Epcot right here and see if it has anything for Remy's, no. Frozen, no. Or this park and see if there's, Toy Story Mini come back, 3:15. Great success. That took less than a minute, and I was going slow to walk through it and show it. So fiddle faddling doesn't have to take a long time. It can take just a few minutes, just check every now and again. Obviously, if you're really hunting for someone, you can sit there and refresh it over and over again. But for the most part, it's just all about checking it every now and again. I'm going to check the other ones again, fiddle faddle a little bit, and see if I can pull something else while eating my lunch. I just checked, again, took 1 minute. I was checking with Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, and I was able to mega faddle it. TM, pending. So excited. I love that this feature exists. From Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run to Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, and I had my choice of times. They just added a bunch of Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, which is awesome. And again, I love Mega Faddle because I'm able to not only see if I could get Smuggler's Run closer or swap that to something else here, but I also was very easily able to swap it to something at Epcot and something great at Epcot. So, had a lovely little luxuriation break, enjoyed my sandwich, fiddle faddled for a bit, like of literally minutes, mere minutes in total, and we saw the results of that. So now I've got about an hour till Toy Story Mania, and this is what you do. You got an hour till your next one, you do something in the middle, you do one of those filler attractions. These can be things like shows, both the theater shows as well as movies like Muppet Vision 3D. This can be things like meeting characters, again, getting snacks. And I looked at the tip board and realized that a showing of, for the first time in forever, a Frozen Sing-Along Celebration was in 15 minutes. You don't need a lightning lane for this. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. I quite enjoy this show. It is about a 25 or so-ish minute show featuring the music of Frozen and some of the characters from Frozen. But what I love about it is the narrators are very funny and they change up what they say each show. Friendly reminder, if you go to a theater show, take those ears off for the people behind you. You know, all those people. You get the point.
Do you wanna build a snowman?
Be like people, it'll be totally strange.
The snow does in summer.
Frozen Sing-Along check. I truly do think that is such a cute show. The narrators, historians today were so funny. They had a bunch of jokes I'd never heard before. I laughed out loud. So highly recommend for kids and adults, 30 minutes sitting down in the air conditioning, plus music that you know and love, plus a lot of humor, especially for the adults in the group. And now we're headed over to Toy Story Mania because it's time to redeem our lightning lane there. Back where we started in Toy Story Land. Now I do want to point out that one of the benefits to being able to pre-book and to modify is that as resort guests especially, because you've got the best cream of the crop as far as choices go, you don't have to ping pong around the park. I know I am, but I am one person who does not have to deal with strollers or wheelchairs or herd a large family like they are stray cats. So for me, I just book things as soon as I can get them because I'd rather keep knocking out attractions. But again, one of the beauties of the fact that you get to pre-book and modify when you're pre-booking or shortly after is you can kind of group things all together. That way, you're not ping-ponging so much. Of course, there's going to be attractions that, even if you're pre-booking as a resort guest, depending on how long your reservation is, you know, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Slinky Dog Dash, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, some of those might not have every single time available. But for the most part, when I was booking a week ago, there was ample availability for most attractions, and therefore, you could be a little more strategic in how you're planning them throughout the day. All right, Toy Story Mania, again, a tier 2 attraction, goes very quickly, but I have seen it pop back up throughout the day today quite a few times. Thank you. All right, and with that tap in, we can book another one. It's 3:15. I have Remy's Ratatouille Adventure booked from 4 to 5. So I need to be headed to Epcot pretty soon, just to make sure I make that one. But let's see what's available to book without any fiddle-faddling. Here in Hollywood Studios, I could do Alien Swirling Saucers is in 5:40. All the shows have the next available showtime. Mickey and Minnie's 7:25. Smuggler's Run 6:50. None for Rock and Roller Coaster or Slinky Dog. None for Rise, even though that's a fancy ride. None for Tower. And let's go over to Epcot. None for Frozen. None for Mission Sposs. Plenty for Soarin'. I'm going to go ahead and book Soarin' just because of all the attractions left. That's the one I'd most like outside of Frozen Ever After. But I'm going to modify it to be a little bit later. Closer to... Let's see, I've got anytime in 6, 7, or 8. I'll do 6:10. But I'm kind of hoping I can get it in the 5 o'clock hour so I can do it in between Remy and Guardians.
Who's trying?
Watch those pies.
Right in your face.
People come!
All right, Toy Story Mania, check a couple of recent developments. After I tapped in at Toy Story Mania, I went ahead and booked Soarin', as you saw, and I found it very curious that it wouldn't let me book anything in the 5 o'clock hour when Soarin' has had full availability all day. I was like, what are the odds just the 5 o'clock hour is not available? But then I thought, I bet it's not letting me book because I have stuff that's too overlapping with it. In my experience, you can have things that are like 20 minutes overlapped, but this was going to be almost the full time overlapped with other things. So I went in and I moved Spaceship Earth, which is one of the things it was going to be overlapping with, to a way later time. And then I went back into Modify Soarin', and sure enough, I could book in the 5 o'clock hour. The most I've been able to overlap total on either end is 20 minutes. That's actually good foreshadowing for tomorrow when I talk about booking Magic Kingdom initially. So pin in that. Next thing that happened is I was able to fiddle-faddle, just kind of strolling out of Toy Story Land. I was able to fiddle-faddle that Spaceship Earth 4 Rock and Roller Coaster. Unfortunately, it's not till 6 o'clock, and I have Remy's from 4 to 5, so and Guardians from 6 to 7, so I can't stay here till 6 o'clock. I fiddle-faddled a few times to see if I could get a different time for Rock and Roller Coaster. I could not, but the point is it came back, and I was able to book it. Which leads me to my Hollywood Studios recap. In about 4 hours, I was able to ride Slinky Dog Dash, Toy Story Mania, Tower of Terror, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, see Frozen, and eat lunch. That's pretty good. And as you've seen throughout this video so far, when booking my next ones after tapping into those initial couple of attractions, I was easily able to book Rock and Roller Coaster, I was easily able to book Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, and pretty much anything else. So additionally, because I'm a resort guest and could be booking these a week in advance, I could have easily booked Rise of the Resistance, which has not come back available for Fancy Ride purchase today. Additionally, I didn't rope drop today. I did not take advantage of early theme park entry, and I'm leaving at like 3:45. Hello, Jesse. Oh, hi, Woody. So my point is, as a resort guest, if you are coming to this park, you could get everything done in a day. Pre-book your good selections, pre-book Rise of the Resistance, or rope drop Rise of the Resistance in that early theme park entry, like I did in the rope drop video here, and you are really set up for success. Combine that with using standby for most of the shows and some of your filler attractions like Star Tours, perhaps throw in a few single rider lines if you want to repeat Rock and Roller Coaster or Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. But the point is, through being able to book a week in advance, making smart selections, and then fiddle faddling, not even that aggressively, just casual fiddle faddling throughout the day. We had a great half day here at Hollywood Studios, and that could easily become a great full day. Now, don't worry, I am gonna do full days in each park. I'm gonna do them as a non-resort guest. So when I make those videos, if you're a resort guest, just know you got the jump on those. And so they'll be even easier for you. But as it stands, we are park hopping today. It's starting to thunder, so I don't know if the Skyliner's gonna be open, but we're gonna find out. It's either the boat or the Skyliner. We gotta get to Epcot. Hello from the Beach Club. Couple of updates for you. One, it is now raining. It's not raining that much. So I have a few minutes before I absolutely have to leave to make it to Remy's on time in my window. So I'm gonna see if this passes by. Radar feels like it's gonna just on by. So we're gonna wait here. Now, the reason I'm at the Beach Club, I predicted the Skyliner would be down, but the boats were also down. So I was gonna go for the bus that runs from Epcot to Hollywood Studios and back. But when I confirmed with the cast member that I was running, she reminded me that the bus would drop me off at the front of Epcot. And I'm trying to ride Remy's Ride to Adventure, which is right there at the back of Epcot, right over there. So I don't want to walk through probably rainy Epcot all the way across the park. So I needed to get to the Beach Club, not the front of Epcot. So this is a pro tip to you. If you're trying to get from Hollywood Studios to Epcot, the bus is going to drop you off at the front, the main entrance. The Skyliner and the boats are going to drop you off at the back at International Gateway, right between the UK and France. So whichever place you want to be at or closer to in Epcot, you need to decide your transportation. Now, it is starting to rain a lot harder. Oh! Luckily, I'm not really getting wet, but I really hope this blows over. Number 2 development. Sorry, this is so much my face, but I'm sitting outside in the storm. Number 2 development. I went ahead and canceled Spaceship Earth. Now, I know I have said you should always have 3, but I'm going to give you an exception to that rule. Remember earlier when we talked about how they could not overlap that much? Otherwise, the system will not let you book it. I thought to myself, I had a horrible thought. What if, hypothetically, Frozen Ever After comes available, but it's the same time I have Spaceship Earth, and then the system doesn't show it to me or doesn't let me book it? That would be terrible, because I can obviously book Spaceship Earth again, or I can ride Spaceship Earth and standby. So I canceled Spaceship Earth. So right now, I only hold 2. I hold Remy and I hold Soarin'. And now I'm trying to modify Soarin' into Frozen Ever After. So we'll see if that happens. But while I'm sitting here in the rain, it's like 4:30. Whoa, 4:30 on the dot. Let us rate and tip Austin, my driver. He was lovely. And 2, let us do a wait time update and an availability update around the 4 parks. It's not looking great for me with the rain, but you know, we'll sit here for a few more. Worst case, I grab a poncho at the Beach Club and we continue on, because I didn't bring a rain jacket today. Do as I say, not as I do. Always bring a rain jacket, especially in the summer. I am but a fool. All right, let's look at these wait times. Now, keep in mind, all of the outdoor attractions are going to be closed right now for weather. You can hear the thunder. So that will skew wait times on the indoor attractions. It always has. It always will. When a bunch of outdoor attractions close, the indoor attractions lines get longer. Luckily, most rides and shows and things are inside. All right, Barnstormer closed, obviously. Big Thunder closed right now, but does still have Lightning Lane availability. It's 4:30-ish right now, and we're not fiddle faddling. This is just first case availability. Buzz has availability around 7. Mansion has availability around 9:40. Jungle Cruise closed and no availability. Winnie the Pooh availability around 10. Mickey's PhilharMagic earliest time 10:30. Do me a favor, don't book a Lightning Lane for that. That's silliness. Let's see. Pirates of the Caribbean, 7:45. That's not too bad. Mine Train has returned. Very exciting when a fancy ride returns for 7:30. Space Tier 1, 9:55. Tiana's, unsurprisingly, nothing. Tron has returned as well. Woo. And that's pretty great. So love seeing those fancy rides come back. Now, Epcot, Frozen, nothing, but only a 35-minute wait, which isn't too bad. Guardians, if I can modify it for another time, that would tell me that others are available. And it's, if you remember from the 101 video, you can modify between fancy rides now if they're available. So it's saying I could modify it. Oh, I could have modified it to be Mine Train, but there's no other times available. So Guardians is gone. Mission Space is gone. Remy's have it booked already, but I'm going to guess it's gone. Soarin', have it booked, but I'm gonna guess there's plenty of availability. 30-minute wait there. Spaceship Earth, plenty of availability. All right, let's look at Hollywood Studios where we just left. All right, Alien Swirling Saucers, 7:20. A lot of the shows are gonna be out or almost out because there aren't any more show times today, like you can see on Indy. Runaway Railway, 8:30. Smugglers, 7 o'clock. Rock and Roller Coaster, gone. Slinky, gone. Rise, down to a 55-minute wait, not bad, but gone. Toy Story, gone. Tower of Terror, gone. I strongly believe with the little Fiddle Faddle, both of those would come back. And lastly, Animal Kingdom, which closes pretty soon, so we might see a low amount of availability some places, like Flight of Passage, none. Dinosaur, you could get it for right now. Everest, you could get it for right now, but it's obviously closed. There's no more shows that have availability for booking. Cali, gone. Safaris, you could get it for right now. Navi, gone. So kind of what I expect. Well, joke's on me. I waited to the last possible second, and it's only gotten noticeably way worse. So now I have this poncho that I got at the Beach Club Marketplace. I also got some flip-flops because, you know, one of the worst parts about getting wet is your suit and socks getting wet. And I can't show you them, obviously, but I do have on some lovely flip-flops. They are too big. And I got this cool kids hat that says hangry. So that's the real prize. But we go on, as the Epcot Nighttime Spectacular theme song once said. It is ankle deep. Is Remy's worth this? We've made it into Epcot. We must now make it to France. When I recommend not coming in the summer, this is why. It's the heat, but it's also this. Cool story, I made it to France, and whilst it's still thundering, it's basically not raining now. So, I mean, it's still raining, but significantly less than when I started this walk. So, should have held out for like 5 more minutes. But let's go ride Remy's. You know, I hate getting wet in clothes, but at the end of the day, it'll probably rain at some point when you're in Walt Disney World, especially during the summer and fall. And you can either be a grumpy Gus about it like me, or you can throw on your poncho and have fun at the most magical place on earth. So I'm gonna be person B right now and go enjoy one of the newest rides at Epcot. A fun thing about me is that one of the reasons I hate getting wet is I'm really afraid of slipping and falling. So like this wet floor in these rubber flip-flops I'm now wearing is my nightmare. I'm walking so slow right now. Also, sorry, I'm on my phone right now. My camera is hidden in a merchandise bag right now because I don't want it to get wet. So sorry if the audio is meh because of the phone / the rain.
Too simple.
The food is for them, not you.
Remy's Ratatouille Adventure complete, and great news, it mostly stopped raining. Hopefully it stays like this. Still on my phone because it's like getting just enough that it would be bad for my camera, but it's fine for a waterproof iPhone. That's such a cute ride. The family behind me had never been on it clearly, and they were like screaming and laughing the whole time, and it was really like funny to ride with them, and it made me smile. One thing worth mentioning about Epcot is that Test Track is also a tier 1, but Test Track is down for a reimagining. And I would imagine that when it's back, it will loosen up Frozen and Remy because it's providing another popular attraction for people to go after, thus dispersing what people are booking. Made it to the Land Pavilion, home of Soarin' around the world, as well as Living with the Land. It is, like I've said, a tier 1. So it's not a bad use of a lightning lane, but it certainly should not be prioritized if you're doing a full Epcot day over Remy's or Frozen, or even Test Track when that's back, because as you've seen, it's very easy to book. There's been basically full availability all day. It also sometimes has a longer line, 45 plus minutes, especially on a busy day. But at some point during the day, it'll be 30 minutes or less. However, at this point, we've got it, so we may as well use it, even though I think it only has, it has a 10-minute wait. Soarin' has a 40-inch height requirement, and is a hand glide simulator taking you around the world. And like I said, your mom probably loves it, because this, statistically, is everyone's mom's favorite ride. Soarin', check. And now we are headed over into World Discovery for Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. This is, again, a fancy ride here, meaning it was a single price per person to skip the lines. And as a friendly reminder, you can book up to 2 fancy rides per person per day. They do not have to be at the same park. And again, you can book them at the same time as you're booking your Multipass across all the parks. So you can book Multipass at one park, fancy ride at one park, and another fancy ride at a different park, all in 3 different parks. You can do that at the same transaction. So I could have booked Rise the Resistance at the same time last week, but I didn't, just because I don't need to take a spot from someone just for this video. It's gonna be long enough as is, but there was plenty of availability to do so, which is a big perk of being a resort guest. You're gonna get first dibs on those fancy rides, and as you've seen, there's not a ton of availability for most of them throughout the day. And their lines are either A, really long, or B, not available as a standby line. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind and Tron Light Cycle Run over at Magic Kingdom, no standby lines, virtual queues only. So if you don't get a virtual queue spot, or you don't want to deal with virtual queue because you don't have any control over when you're riding, you're gonna want to go ahead and book the fancy ride as soon as your booking window opens. Now, as a friendly reminder / pro tip, when booking your initial Multipass and fancy ride selections, you're booking everybody you select on the same things. You cannot split the party between 2 different Multipass rides, and you cannot remove anyone off the fancy ride. So since you're paying for these per person, if you've got people that don't want to ride Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, you will need to do 2 transactions. You're going to need to be quick. I've seen this question a lot. Can you have one person logged in to book the fancy rides and another person logged in to book the Multipass so you can be doing both at 7 a.m.? The answer is yes, but in my experience, you need to be on 2 different accounts. Don't have both people logged into the same account. Have both people logged into their own account, but linked to each other.
We'll be right behind you.
Nothing to worry about.
Plus, we cannot stop this unusually large man. What is that noise? Deserve to be called out. Did you see how they're dressed?
It's just a figure of speech, Drax.
Hello from my room at Saratoga Springs. What a great way to end the day. I got Conga on Guardians of the Galaxy, and I know that's not everyone's favorite Cosmic Rewind song, but I just love the vibes of that one so much, and I've been hoping for it for the last several times I've written it, and I was so excited to finally get it. Now, obviously, I could have kept going Lightning Lane after Lightning Lane, or at this point at Epcot, ride after ride, because most things didn't have longer than a 10-15 minute wait, and even Remy's Ratatouille Adventure and Frozen Ever After both had less than a 45-minute wait. And speaking of Frozen Ever After, it came back! Finally, while I was about to board Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, I saw Lightning Lanes come back for Frozen Ever After, so yes. But unfortunately, what also came back was the rain. And my radar told me it was gonna get worse, so I went ahead and scooted out. But I don't think I need to keep riding rides or booking Lightning Lanes to prove how the system works or what the system looks like. Now, as a resort guest today, again, not doing any kind of challenge, just kind of using the system here and there, booking as soon as possible. I was able to do 6 Multipass Lightning Lanes today, as well as a fancy ride, and as well as see a show on standby. And like I said, we could have kept going or gotten there earlier, so you could really maximize your day. But I do think without much effort, 6 lightning lanes, especially 6 good lightning lanes, most of those were tier 1s, is a good sign. And we'll talk about this more at the end of the video, especially when I do the full comparison of 7 days out versus 3 days out for the same days in completion. I think the biggest boost that you get as being a resort guest, number one, fancy rides. All the fancy rides were available to me with ample availability for basically any time of day with those, as well as just having your choice of times. Some of these attractions are just simply not going to be available for non-resort guests by the time they get to book. And then a lot of them are going to only have limited time. So maybe just the afternoon, just the evening. And then you have to figure out what you're going to do to take advantage of the morning so you're not waiting all day to use your lightning lanes. So I do think resort guests, this is a huge perk for you. This is a better perk than the previous system where the only perk resort guests got was quicker access to the fancy rides. And I do think this helps justify the cost of spending money on a Disney resort. If you're already going to be purchasing the system, you want the best chance to use it efficiently and use it to your advantage and maximize using it. And being a resort guest literally gets you multiple days ahead of the game. Not to mention you also get the perks like early theme park entry, 30 minutes early into every park for all 4 parks, all resort guests, and deluxe and DVC Villa guests. You also get extended hours at Magic Kingdom and Epcot. Those are certain nights of the week. Those are a huge perk because that takes away needing to fiddle faddle for Frozen Ever After or Remy or Guardians and a lot of your attractions over at Magic Kingdom as well. Now, Epcot to Hollywood Studios or vice versa is a very common park hopping combination, so hopefully today was helpful. I think you should base it based off of which nighttime show you want to see, if I'm being honest, because that's where you're going to end your day. And no matter which one, try and book one on the earlier side of you arriving to the park so that way you can tap in and start booking your next one and unlock that park hopping, because the earlier you can do that, the more attractions you're gonna be able to do. But for now, as my very cool hat said, I'm hangry. So I'm gonna grab some food and I will see you tomorrow where we tackle Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom. Good night. Good morning. It is Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom today, and we're gonna head to Animal Kingdom in a little bit. But first, I wanted to recap what happened a week ago yesterday when I was able to book today. So for starters, I actually booked today first because, friendly reminder, 7 days before your check-in unlocks your entire stay. And as a pro tip, especially for your Magic Kingdom day, you should book that as the farthest day out because statistically, it's the most likely day that's gonna have Tiana's availability. And that is the hottest ticket in town. She is that girl right now. So when I was getting ready to book today, I selected Magic Kingdom for the Multipass, Tron for the fancy ride, mixing it up from the last video, and Flight of Passage for the fancy ride. And initially, I wanted to go to Magic Kingdom first. I wanted to have morning to early afternoon times in Magic Kingdom and then hop over to Animal Kingdom. But that's not what happened. Because even though I was booking more than a week out for today, again, I was booking like 8 days out, there are people that had longer stays with me or overlapped with me that were able to book 10 days out from the date. It's a little confusing when you think of it like that, but again, the longer your stay, the further out you get to book. So Tiana's Bayou Adventure only had late afternoon times. When I initially did my selections, I picked, again, Flight of Passage, Tron Light Cycle Run as my fancy rides. And then for Multipass, I picked Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Haunted Mansion, and to mix it up a little bit, Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, because that one's been going rather quick as well. I normally would recommend doing Pirates. And when I was given my schedule, even though I selected I was going to Magic Kingdom first when it asked which of the 2 parks I'd be going to, it still put Flight of Passage before my Magic Kingdom lightning lanes, and that is because it gave me 9:30 to 10 p.m. Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which is the last slot available. I clicked modify, and there was one other time available, which was 4:45 to 5:45 p.m. I went ahead and locked that in and confirmed my selections, because again, if you are going for a popular attraction, lock it in. Do not let that 5-minute timer expire. I did some fiddle faddling and I tried to make it so I could go to Magic Kingdom first. I kept checking back for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Disaster actually struck when I was able to fiddle faddle for a noon Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but it overlapped too much with another one of my attractions. So the system literally would not let me book it because of Tron Light Cycle Run also being at noon. So of course, by the time I went in and modified Tron, and then went back to book Tiana's, the noon was gone. And I kept checking back for the next hour or so, and I've checked back multiple times since then, and Tiana's Bayou Adventure locked in at 4:45. So I ended up going back in and modifying Flight of Passage to be before Magic Kingdom, so I'm headed there first. I do love the fact that you can modify fancy rides with the system. Previously, fancy rides, once you purchase them, you were locked into that fancy ride, you were locked into that time. And I like the fact that, of course, pending availability, you can change those things around. So I was able to put Flight of Passage first and then go into Magic Kingdom. And just like yesterday, I wanted to check day of availability with what it looked like 8 days ago when I was booking Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom. which, by the way, Animal Kingdom full availability 8 days ago. With Magic Kingdom, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, very limited times, but there was pretty much availability everywhere else. There was plenty of availability for Tron, Haunted Mansion, probably the most popular Tier 2 attraction had plenty of availability. The other Tier 1 attractions had plenty of availability. But let's look at what Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom looked like this morning. This is about 8:30, so a little bit before Magic Kingdom had opened. There were no fancy rides available for Tron or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, the two fancy rides at Magic Kingdom. There was shockingly no availability at Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Also, friendly reminder that Peter Pan's flight is currently under refurbishment, so if you see it as unavailable, it's literally unavailable. So I went ahead and selected Jungle Cruise, Haunted Mansion, and Pirates. There were only late afternoon times available for the most part. I did see one noon Jungle Cruise. Haunted Mansion served me up evening times. I then modified it to see It's a Small World, plenty of times there. Big Thunder Mountain, late afternoon and beyond. Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, early evening and beyond. And then I also checked Space Mountain, which had early afternoon and beyond. So some availability across those Tier 1 attractions, but not surprising, nothing at Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And we're starting to see, again, some late afternoon, evening only availability day of for some of those Tier 2s. Looking at Animal Kingdom this morning, again, there's no tiers at Animal Kingdom. They're all the same. Initially, I looked at Everest, which had most of the afternoon available, a couple morning times, Cali River Rapids afternoon only times, and Navi River Journey late afternoon times. Also looked at Dinosaur, Festival of the Lion King. Dinosaur had full availability, Festival of the Lion King full availability, Kilimanjaro Safaris late morning through the rest of the afternoon. So Animal Kingdom is definitely your best bet if you're going day of, but it's probably also the park you need it the least. We'll talk more about that because we got to go there right now. We have a date with the Fly Guy. Hello from Disney's Animal Kingdom. Got my shaky Jamaica upon entry, and now working my way into the park. Now, the reason I wanted to go to Magic Kingdom first was because, as you know, tapping in at your first attraction is what unlocks the ability to book more. And, of course, I had to book Magic Kingdom first, otherwise there'd be no Tiana's Bayou Adventure. It ran out at like 7:20 the day I was booking this for the whole day. Came back once, but never again. So my ideal plan was going to be to start at Magic Kingdom, knock out some stuff there, and then hop over here so I could use lightning lanes here too. But, as the non-genie god said, that would not be happening for me this day. So instead, I'm just coming into Animal Kingdom, I'm gonna do my Flight of Passage lightning lane, and then I'm gonna pop over to start using my Multipass over at Magic Kingdom. Now, like I said earlier, Animal Kingdom is probably the park you need to use the Multipass system the least. So let's imagine, in a world that I was filming a video, not focused on using lightning lanes, but just having a nice day. If that was the reality, and what I would recommend to you, Mam Fam, especially resort guest Mam Fam, come into this park earlier. This park opens the earliest and it's not very crowded in the beginning of the morning. So my best recommendation would be to come in this morning. The park opened at 8, which meant early theme park entry was at 7:30. As a resort guest, if you don't want to pay for Flight of Passage, you need to ride Flight of Passage during this time. If you're okay paying for Flight of Passage as a resort guest at 7:30, you should hit Navi River Journey and then scoot over to ride the first Kilimanjaro Safaris when it opens up with the park a little bit later. If you're not a resort guest, I would recommend buying Flight of Passage and then rope dropping Navi River Journey or Kilimanjaro Safaris. But I looked at the wait times this morning at 9 a.m., which is an hour after the park officially opened, an hour and a half after resort guests could get in. And excluding Flight of Passage, which had a 110-minute wait, the longest waits in the park were 25 minutes at Everest and Navi River Journey. Kilimanjaro Safaris had a 20-minute wait. Everything else, less than 10 minutes. So, if this video wasn't focused on Multipass, and if I was trying to make a film as long as James Cameron's Titanic, I would have come in at 7:30 and done all of that. And then by the time I'm done with Flight of Passage, I'd be leaving to Magic Kingdom anyway. So let's just all imagine that all happened off camera this morning. That I woke up happy as can be at 6 in the morning, and I came here, and I rope job Navi River Journey, and then I went to Kilimanjaro Safaris, and then Everest and Dinosaur, and now I'm headed back to Pandora to finish out my day here by riding Flight of Passage. Let's pretend that's what happened. I definitely didn't sleep in a little bit, perhaps hit snooze one too many times. I definitely didn't rewatch Simone Biles' floor routine and cry for a second time while doing my makeup. That didn't happen. What did happen was all that other stuff here. But seriously, if you're hopping out of Animal Kingdom, which is what most people do, it opens the earliest and closes the earliest, so most people come to Animal Kingdom and then hop into another park. Because of the way the system works now, where you can't book another one until you tap into your first one, because of what attractions are available on Multipass, and because of what the availability looks like at the other parks, you should definitely book your other park and not use it here at Animal Kingdom if that's your plan. Now, I have had the question of, what if I book an early one and then I just don't go to it? Does that unlock the ability to start booking other things? No, because I tested this out. On a different day, I paid for the system and I only booked an 8:20 to 9:20. It's tough to be a bug because I didn't want to take something away from someone that would actually want it. And sorry, Flick, no one's going to an 8:20. It's tough to be a bug lightning lane. I did not go. And when I tried to, one, rebook It's Tough to Be a Bug, it said, no, you already booked that. So I would have had to go in and cancel it on the lightning lane screen. And two, when I tried to book something in Magic Kingdom, it said, no, you need to use an entitlement before you can park hop. So if you thought that was a clever hack, it doesn't work. I've been yapping a lot on our way into Pandora, and I apologize for that. But the last thing I'll say is that, as previously mentioned, we will do park by park videos. I will show you how to use this in Animal Kingdom if you want to, or if it's a busy time. But I'm going to do those as non-resort guests, because that way the information is applicable to everyone. And again, as resort guests, just know that you're starting from a much better place. Thank you. Now, Flight of Passage is without a doubt the most popular ride here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Usually has well over an hour long wait. It's got an 80-minute posted wait right now. So unless you're going to rope drop this as a resort guest or wait till the very, very last thing at night, I do recommend using the fancy ride here. The queue is very, very cool, but I don't know if it's 80 minutes cool. Flight of Passage has a 44, that's 4-4-inch height requirement, and it is a 3D simulator that puts you on the back of a Banshee as you fly across the Valley of Moara. You are going to be linking to an avatar, the big blue people as seen in the film Avatar, and it is unlike any simulator I've ever been on because of its unique seat. So I highly recommend, if you've never been on this before, checking out the test seat outside the attraction just to make sure that you're going to be comfortable. You would not want to wait in a long line only to find out it's not going to work out. It really, truly is such a beautiful attraction. Definitely a must ride when you're in Disney's Animal Kingdom. And I do think if you're trying to decide which parks to spend Multipass money at, which rides to book, I do think you can get a lot done here without paying for Multipass and then just pay for that one to skip that almost guaranteed long line. Now, I would be normally very sad to be leaving my favorite park without seeing the first Festival Lion King show, or riding Everest, or Dinosaur, or Kilimanjaro Safaris. I did all that this morning, remember? Which means it's time to head to Magic Kingdom. Now, let's take a look at what is available and what the wait times are looking like at Animal Kingdom walking out around 11, and why I say you should come to this park early, even as someone who's a degenerate and doesn't like getting up early. All right, Flight of Passage, 85-minute wait, no lightning lanes. Remember, they did come back at some point yesterday, but as of now, we are done with fancy rides there. Dinosaur, 45-minute wait, but you could get a noon return time. Everest, 40-minute wait, you could get a 2:40 return time. All the shows have the next available return times. And by the way, the first Festival Lion King is at 10 a.m., so if you wanted to come in early and knock out a bunch of stuff, you could go to that first show. Cali River Rapids, 50-minute wait, 4:55 return time. Safari, 75-minute wait, 11:10 return time. Navi River Journey, 80-minute wait, no return times. That's without any faddling. If you're going to park hop, this is where the loss of the 120-minute rule and stacking is kind of a bummer, I think, because if that was the case, I could have locked in Tiana's for later today at Magic Kingdom and then be booking here. But since that's not the case any longer, highly recommend booking at the other three parks because they've got such in-demand attractions for later in the day, and then getting to Animal Kingdom early. And that's coming from a degenerate whose bedtime is normally around 3 a.m. I am not a morning person. I do not like getting up early. But It's no surprise that by mid-morning when the park's been open for several hours, the queues are getting longer. So best advice for park hopping with Animal Kingdom is to get up early. Resort guests definitely get up early and take advantage of that early park entry. Check out our rope drop video for that. Knock out everything you want to do, hit all those highlights, and then park hop, or then go back to your resort and have a lovely, relaxing pool day. The opposite of that, the peak luxuriation of Animal Kingdom, if you only want to come in for a few hours, is coming in the afternoon, either with Multipass if you want to just really kick it up a notch, or most of the time in the mid-afternoon because people leave this park early, you can get on a lot of things without too long of a wait. So that may be a good plan for like a check-in day when you're arriving in the morning and want to hit a park in the afternoon without having to worry about Multipass. We got to get to our next one, but it's at a completely different park, so let's go. All right, we have made it into the Magic Kingdom, cutting it pretty close for our Haunted Mansion. Lightning Lane, which is when I'll give my friendly reminder that with Lightning Lanes, there is usually a small, emphasis on small, grace period on the back end. Of course, that is up to the cast members' discretion. And when I say small, I mean like 10 minutes. Just for things like if you have a dining reservation running long or your transportation takes longer than normal, which is what just happened to me with the bus. It is not the ability to be hours late and still use that Lightning Lane. If your plans change or you're gonna be that late, you need to try and modify it for a later time in the system. Also note that usually with shows, there's no grace period on the back end because of the shows needing to start. And getting stopped by the Adventure Friends Cavalcade where I wasn't able to cross is exactly why this grace period exists. So if something like that happens to you and you're trying to get to a ride, again, not a show, which doesn't really apply at this park, don't panic. If you're gonna be just a few minutes late, let the cast member know what happened, that was out of your control, and you should be okay. Just always be nice to the cast member. That's just a pro tip for every time you talk to a cast member, not just when you need something from them. And we've made it to our first Multipass Lightning Lane of the day, Haunted Mansion, the most popular tier 2 in this park. And don't forget, once we tap in, we will unlock whatever we can do next. So that'll be interesting. Welcome, Marty. Thank you. Do you have another touch point on up there? Thank you. We love that. All right, let's see what we can do. All right, I'm gonna say it again because I think this is one of the most important pieces of information with this new system. Tapping into your first Multipass Lightning Lane, so not a fancy ride, unlocks the ability for you to book another one because you can always have 3. It unlocks the ability for you to book another tier 1 in the park you're at. It also unlocks the ability for you to park hop and start booking at another park as long as you have park hopper capabilities on your ticket. And it unlocks the ability for you to modify the other Lightning Lanes you already have booked into tier 1s if you choose to do so. So let's see what we can do here. Go to the tip board. We got Barnstormer right now. Big Thunder, that's a tier 1 at 8. Buzz at 4:30. Jungle Cruise at 9:20, that's a tier 1. Pirates at 4. Space at 5, that's a tier 1. I'm gonna go Space at 5 and then see if I can fiddle faddle for an earlier time. So in quite literally 2 minutes and 12 seconds, that's how long this recording was, I was able to fiddle faddle from that 5 o'clock time to a 2:55 time. I then got a few times by a 12:20 and then was able to keep fiddle faddling for a 12:50, which is in 50 minutes for Space Mountain, a tier 1, all within like 15 feet of the Haunted Mansion queue while waiting for the doors to open.
Which offers you this chilling challenge.
Spiders, tail of a rat, call in the spirits.
Prices books of every size.
Haunted Mansion check, a classic, an icon. We love it. And I love that I was able to neatly fit in Space Mountain into my day. Because now I'm like, Winnie the Pooh, Tron, and Space, all, it's all the same direction. things are going great. Now, I did just walk by the currently closed for refurbishment Peter Pan's Flight, and I did want to say that I think, much like at Epcot with Test Track being closed for refurbishment right now, when it reopens, I do think that will distribute out some of the Tier 1s a little bit differently. I don't know that it'll really impact Tiana's Bayou Adventure very much. I still think she's going to be the hottest ticket in school on most days, but I would consider that to be the second most popular attraction in the Tier 1 category, so we should see the distribution a little bit more evenly, especially amongst the other ones. Now we're off to do Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which may be a surprising choice, but this is one of the ones, like I was talking yesterday about the Tier 2s, that's been going quickly. A lot of this has to do with the ride capacity, and Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh does not have near the ride capacity as some of these other ones. So just like it did with Genie Plus, the lightning lanes go quicker than you might expect for this attraction. Thank you. I love this attraction. It's a cute family ride in Pooh's Honey Pots as you go through the 100-acre wood with all of your favorite friends from the Winnie the Pooh story. This is, in my opinion, one of the rare times that the Magic Kingdom version is better than the currently closed Disneyland version because the Honey Pots bounce with Tigger. All right, and you already know that because we tapped in, we can book another one. Go into the tip board here. And again, see, it says check for another one now. Barnstormer at 155. Big Thunder at 835. Buzz at 5. Still have spots for Mansion. Jungle Cruise at 10. Pirates at 6. I think I'm going to do Pirates at 6 and try and fiddle-faddle it for something better. Now, while we're doing this, and we've got some time here before boarding our Honey Pot, let's look at what the availability looks like at the other 4 parks. 12:30, starting with Epcot. Nothing for Frozen, none for Guardians. That's the fancy ride again. Nothing for Mission Space or Remy. Plenty of everything else, and as we saw yesterday, some of that stuff might come back. Hollywood Studios, all shows. Mickey and Minnie's 540, Smugglers 350. Rock and Roller Coaster 820. None for Slinky Dog, none for Rise, none for Tower, but 315 at Toy, and again, I think Tower will come back. It is a little busier today because it's a Friday, but I feel confident Tower would come back. And at Animal Kingdom, none for Flight of Passage, soon for Dinosaur, 4 o'clock for Everest, plenty for the shows, none for Cali, 1 o'clock for Safaris, and 4:25 for Navi. Man, Cali River Rapids is not for me, but it is running out pretty quick, so if it's a must for you, you're going to want to put that in your priorities over there.
Come bounce with me. They love it.
Hooray for Pooh, too!
All right, Winnie the Pooh, done, check. Booked Pirates. Now I'm gonna head towards Space Mountain, and on the way, fiddle-faddle for a few moments to see if I can move Pirates up or maybe snag a better time at Jungle Cruise or Big Thunder. Additionally, I've been occasionally fiddle-faddling my Tianas just to see if any more open up throughout the day. TBD. With quite literally less than 30 seconds of fiddle-faddling on my way to Space Mountain, I was able to move Pirates of the Caribbean up to the point where the first time it gave me was too close to right now, and I had to select time a little bit further out. My Space Mountain time that I modified for is very overlapping with my Tron lightning lane, so I wish I had an answer as to why it wouldn't let me do this with Tiana's, but it's letting me do a Space Mountain. Maybe the system knows they're right next to each other, I don't know. But just know your mileage may vary with overlapping, but it can tell you no. With that said, let's go ride Space Mountain. 44-inch height requirement, thrilling, classic, iconic rocket ship roller coaster in the dark, one of my all-time favorites, and no recording on the ride, so this old footage is from before that rule was made. However, I'm gonna tap in and book something else, so you'll see that in a second. Space Mountain check, and perfect timing, because now I can go ride Tron Light Cycle Run. And again, Tron is a fancy ride, this and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And if you are not paying for Tron, or it's unavailable, then the only way to ride this one is with a virtual queue. There is no standby. Now, speaking of virtual queues, after I tapped in at Space Mountain, I went to look at what's available next, and I noticed that it was a few minutes past 1 o'clock, which is the second time virtual queues drop, and that there was still availability in the Tiana's Bayou Adventure queue, which shocked me because I thought it would be gone in seconds. So I joined it to see if that was real, and it absolutely let me join the queue at 1:02. I also canceled it because I have a lightning lane spot, so I'll give that virtual queue spot to someone who doesn't, but I just checked again right now, 1:18 p.m., and I could get a virtual queue for Tiana's and for Tron Light Cycle Run. So what I'm telling you is that not all hope is lost if you cannot score a Tron Light Cycle Run, or probably more importantly, a Tiana's Bayou Adventure Lightning Lane. It seems like the afternoon drop maintains availability for longer than these things used to. Now, speaking of virtual queues, friendly reminder, they open up at 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. At 7 a.m., you can be anywhere, but if your ticket requires park reservations, you do need to have a park reservation for whichever park that virtual queue is in. At 1 p.m., you need to be in that park. Starting an hour before each of those drops, the system will allow you to confirm your party, which you should do prior to those drops happening. Make sure everyone that you want to ride is selected, everyone that doesn't want to ride is unselected. Then at 6:59:59 or 12:59:59, use a world clock to count down, click into the screen, refresh it, and join the virtual queue. Then hopefully you'll be assigned a boarding group, and throughout the day they will call different boarding groups. You can get a push notification, you can check in the app, or you can look at the boards around the park. And when your group is called, you have a limited amount of time, usually an hour, to come back and check in and join the virtual queue. Now, the pros of virtual queue: it's free. Free is good. The cons of virtual queue: 1, just because you have a virtual queue spot doesn't mean it's an expedited wait. That's a lightning lane. So when you get called back, you could still wait 45 minutes to an hour plus to get on the attraction. I've never waited less than 45 minutes on Tron, and if Tiana's Bayou Adventure goes down, which unfortunately does frequently, that return time is going to be longer. The other problem I have with virtual queue is you have no control over when you're riding the ride, which is incredibly hard if you're trying to plan, if you've got dining reservations, if you're trying to park hop, etc. But all that said, it's better than not getting to ride the ride, and again, it's free. Now back to Tron Light Cycle Run. This is the highest height requirement in the Magic Kingdom at 48 inches. It has a very unusual seat, so I highly recommend getting in this test seat right here before you ride, just to make sure. If this test seat's not going to work for you, they do have a more standard roller coaster seat, and you can talk to the cast members about accessing that on certain vehicles. Tron is an import from Shanghai Disneyland. We recently got to ride the original, which was very fun. That video will be coming soon. And it is a thrilling coaster that takes you onto the grid as you join Team Blue and fight against Team Orange. And it kicks off with a 0 to 60 mile an hour launch. And as you can tell, it is incredibly popular. Thank you. Tron, done, check. It really is such a fun attraction. I just wish it was longer. Like, it's such a short coaster, but it is really, really fun. I actually, spoiler alert, like this version better than the one in Shanghai. So you're gonna have to watch that video though to find out why. And someone came up to me afterwards and was like, I just mega faddled into Tiana's Bayou Adventure Lightning Lane. And that made me so happy because 1, it was nice that she said hi. And 2, that gives me hope that Tiana's Bayou Adventure can come back throughout the day. It's not likely, but it's not impossible. Speaking of Tiana's Bayou Adventure, the virtual queue was still open at 1:30, but by 2 o'clock it was closed. So, very interesting observation, and it does seem pretty busy here today. Don't dawdle with it. Still get it right at 1 if you're trying, but I'm just saying that's a good sign. That's hopeful. Also, after tapping in at Space Mountain, backing it up a little bit, I booked a later Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and once I got off Tron, I was able to easily move it to a 3:55 Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. No fiddle faddle even required. I just clicked modify and it popped up with better times. So now I'm headed over to that side of the park because I've got Pirates right now. And then I think we'll take a little snack break for something I'm very eager to eat. Pirates of the Caribbean, my favorite ride in Walt Disney World, family ride, no height requirement, and has been popular since its debut in this park in 1973. And now because I have tapped in at Pirates of the Caribbean, I can go ahead and look for another one. All right, we have Buzz at 6:15, Mansion at 9:05, Jungle's out. Let's see. Oh, Mine Train came back. Tron is still out, but Tron's virtual queue is still open last I checked at 2:30. I guess I'll book Buzz. And now, mateys, we have asked.
Hey there, you bilge rat! Into the treasure room.
Pirates of the Caribbean, always a banger. Now I've got a little bit more than an hour before my next lightning lane, so I'm gonna take my own advice and fill that time with snacks and an attraction I don't need a lightning lane for, AKA a filler ride. And the snack that I have my heart set on is right here at Golden Oak Outpost, right across from Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Very fitting, because y'all, they finally brought beignets to the Magic Kingdom. And I did get to sample them at the media event, but I need to try them again, because duh, beignets are delicious too. I want to see if they're still as good as I remember. And 3, there's also some like hot honey chicken situation that I need to eat. All right, I went for the full Tiana here. Actually, I guess the full Tiana would have been, instead of this entree, the shrimp gumbo entree. But this is hot honey chicken with muffalata on it, which is an olive tapenade used in a lot of New Orleans cooking, and sweet potato fries. Very excited about that. This is the Bayou Lemonade. It's a lavender lemonade. Normally I don't go for things like this, but it sounds refreshing. And most importantly, you already know, Tiana's Man Kitchen beignets. They've got a honey drizzle on there, powdered sugar, different from a Mickey beignet in my memory, and I'm tickled right now. Also, this seat is like comically low for the table. Let's start with the lemonade. I think that's the lavender on the bottom. Yeah, that's just lemonade. Oh, nice and floral. It's like drinking lemonade and perfumes. Sweet baby. It's refreshing. I don't know that I would need to get it again just because I'm not a huge drinker of like mocktail, non-alcoholic things. I normally drink like water, iced coffee, and adult bevies. But nice and refreshing. I do wish they still had the lemonade slushie that was here, because that to me was more refreshing on a hot day. But this is fine. And I think like kids will like it because it's a little special. Now, for this. I will say when I ordered it, the cast member asked if I wanted the muffalata, which is again the onion, the olive tapenade, which I know people are weird about olives, and they're not my favorite food either, but I tend to like them like in things. Trying to get a bite with everything. I was not expecting the chicken nuggets to be this good. I mean, I knew they'd be good because they're chicken nuggets, but there's actually a decent amount of this hot honey coating on it. I wish it was hotter as someone who loves hot foods, but I'm not surprised that it's not in the Magic Kingdom. It's more just like a slightly sweet glaze, and then it's balanced really nicely by the saltiness of the olives, and it goes well with the sweetness of the sweet potato fries. So I think this could definitely be a lunch or a very hearty shareable snack. And now, it's time. Oh my God. They're better than when I had them at the media event because they're bigger. They're nice and fluffy. Taste a little different than the ones at Port Orleans. I think those are fluffier, but I like that these have the honey for a little something unique. I think they did Tiana Brown. And these have officially made my list of best sweets in the Magic Kingdom, along with Dole Whip, a worthy teammate. Delicious snack complete, and on to part 2 of my plan to fill the hour before my next lightning lane. Go do a filler attraction. I often refer to attractions as filler attractions because these are attractions that usually don't have a long wait or they don't have lightning lane, and they're great attractions to slot in between all those heavy hitters. I should note that just because I call it a filler attraction doesn't mean I don't like that attraction or it's not a good attraction. Some people take that very personally. No, I just mean it doesn't have a line usually. Filler attractions in this park include things like the Enchanted Tiki Room, Mickey's PhilharMagic, Carousel of Progress, the People Mover, or where we're headed next, the brand new Country Bear Jamboree. Country Bear Jamboree, an opening day attraction, recently went under refurbishment and just reopened as the Country Bear Musical Jamboree. They gave all of the bears a glow up, mixed up the music, and I haven't seen this version yet, so we are gonna go see a wild and woolly good time. I did forget my Charmin and my teddy bear picnic baskets for them, but hopefully they won't mind.
We've already got Rufus on Spotlight. Do we?
Well, that was so cute. The new version is the Country Bears in all their glory. Actually, they all glowed up. They all got a little tuck and a pull and some Botox, and they all are fluid and look great. But now they're singing Disney music instead of country music, but it's still countrified. It's like country versions of classic and newer Disney music. And I know that there was a lot of nostalgia from a small group of people for Country Bear Jamboree, but I've never seen that theater so crowded. People were laughing, they were singing, they were clapping along. It was, in my opinion, the way that you refurb old attractions and bring new life into them and bring the next generation into these classic Disney attractions. So highly recommend, and again, a great filler attraction on your Magic Kingdom day. And now it's perfect timing because we can go tap into Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, another iconic Magic Kingdom attraction, a beloved classic 40-inch height requirement. This is your runaway train, wildest ride in the wilderness coaster. Always a delight to ride this one. And again, it is a tier 1 on Multipass. Speaking of tier 1s, since I tapped in, I could book another one. I don't think I'm going to because this video is already so long, and just like the other videos like this, again, not doing any kind of challenge. I don't need to keep booking things and making this video longer and taking up inventory just because I can. Wow, I just have the best time on that attraction no matter how many times I ride it. I always laugh and giggle, especially like there was a little kid behind me that hadn't been on it before, and he and his dad were just cracking up, and that always makes me smile. So absolutely a must do in my opinion. Okay, since I've got a few minutes before I can tap into Tiana's Bayou Adventure, let's go ahead and recap some of the things that we've learned today specifically and then just in general. First of all, I think Magic Kingdom, with the exception of Animal Kingdom, is the easiest park to use this at. Because there's more attractions offered in general on Multipass, and because the disparity of popular versus non-popular is not as wide, it's a lot easier to get things that you want, compared to, say, Epcot, where there's like 2 attractions right now everybody wants on Multipass, and then everything else is usually a walk-on. Same thing with Hollywood Studios. It's pretty easy to get the shows, but all those bangers, Toy Story Mania, Tower of Terror, Slinky Dog, Rock and Roller Coaster, Mickey and Minnie, Smugglers, all those bangers make it incredibly competitive. Whereas here, yes, you've got Tiana's Bayou Adventure. That's its own beast. But besides Tiana's Bayou Adventure, most of the day we've seen availability across the board, including the other tier 1s, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Space Mountain, Jungle Cruise. So I think here at Magic Kingdom, it's the best case of using it. It's also the least labor intensive. I had to do the least amount of fiddle faddling. I just would check back occasionally, and more often than not, a better time was available or a better attraction was available. Now that said, being a resort guest is still a huge perk. Now, way more than it was with GD Plus. The fact that you can walk into the park with 3 multi-passes booked, plus up to 2 fancy rides, you're walking into the park with 5, and as a resort guest, you're getting the best selection of what those things are. As you saw throughout this video, fancy rides, not really readily available the day of. And yet full availability when I was booking as a resort guest over a week ago. That plus for deluxe and villa guests, the extended hours here and at Epcot, plus for all guests, early park entry across all 4 parks. It is definitely rewarding and incentivizing resort guests. And of course, if you're paying the money for a Walt Disney World Resort, then you want to get the best deal, which is why I recommend using a travel agent. And I'm very grateful to Be Our Guest Vacations for partnering with us on this content. They're already the best travel agents. They already have the highest rating that you can get from Disney as a travel agency. But now they've got even more tools to help customize your trip for you. I can show you how the system works in the park all day long. And I love that you guys watch it. And I love that these videos have been helpful for you. But when it comes to planning your particular itinerary, that's where a travel agent comes in. They're going to help you walk through what attractions are going to work for your family. They can give you a personalized guide on what you should be aiming for and booking for your multi-passes, so there's no questions that morning of. They've also got a tangible step-by-step guide if you want something in front of you while you're booking as opposed to the video. And again, they're going to get you the best deals to the point where if you book with them and then Disney releases a better deal or a better promotion, you can work with your travel agent. And as long as there's availability for your dates, they can get you that and save you some money. Now, I know you might be wondering, Molly, how much is all this going to cost? You think I'm about to Billy Mays you and say that it's just for low payments of $19.95? No, it's absolutely free. It costs you, the consumer, nothing, and you're going to get personalized travel planning advice and Disney planning advice, which is, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Not to mention the fact that they can help you with dining reservations, activities reservations, tickets, so they can have you covered and it'll be a lot less stressful because we all know planning a Disney vacation, while magical and wonderful, can be pretty stressful. Now, a couple more pro tips as far as booking those lightning lanes go. Remember, as a resort guest, you want to book the furthest day out, and you likely want to make that furthest stay this park, specifically for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Also, don't forget that first hour is the most flexible, so get in there, lock in your attractions in your allotted 5 minutes, and then if you didn't get everything you wanted or you didn't get the times you wanted, fiddle faddle, modify, see if something else pops up. Now, I think I've been yapping long enough, so it's time to go ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure. But when we're done, I'm going to give you that side-by-side of a week out versus 3 days out. So let's go. You know we're not ready to ride quite yet. Now I'm ready. Let's go.
I wasn't kidding, y'all. This Dinoco Bear's hot.
I ducked that time, so it's better. Tiana's Bayou Adventure, a delight every time. And now, as promised, let's head over to Professor Molly, who's going to show you a side-by-side for 7 days in advance booking as a resort guest and 3 days out as a non-resort guest. Wait. Don't go to Professor Molly yet. I just got the best information from some of the wonderful guest experience cast members. They're the cast members in the Blue Umbrella. So if you ever have a question, ask them. I asked them if you change your mind about what park you're going to before you get there, like if it's a couple days before and you score a great dining reservation and you want to change your Hollywood Studios day to your Epcot day, but you've already bought Hollywood Studios Multipass, what happens? I was like, are you stuck? What happens? And they were like, no, you can modify it. Go to the lightning lane screen, scroll down to that day, cancel any lightning lanes you may have booked, and then click on the Multipass itself. Don't click select, click the Multipass itself, and a little menu pops up, and one of the things is change Multipass park. Click that, and then pick the other park you want to go to, and then you can book them at that park. Thanks, Park Molly. So we are going to be looking at the availability as a resort guest, being able to book 7 days out, versus a non-resort guest being able to book 3 days out for the exact same day. Let's start with Magic Kingdom. Now, note, these are not taken from the video we just filmed. This is a completely other day, a completely neutral day that I wanted to look at side by side. Now, remember, even as a resort guest, booking 7 days out for your check-in day is not the earliest person that could be booking, because someone that had an earlier check-in than you and has been booking for their whole stay still got to jump on you. But still, let's look at the side-by-side comparison, starting with, of course, the big question, Tiana's Bayou Adventure. In both of these, you can see that it is marked as currently unavailable. However, in the resort guest day, I purchased the system because I had a feeling it would come back within that first hour, and it did. There wasn't a ton of availability for times, but it did come back. The same cannot be said for a non-resort guest. Looking at the fancy rides, as a resort guest, you could get Tron starting around noon. As a non-resort guest, you could get Tron starting around 3. For Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, as a resort guest, you could get times in the 5 o'clock hour, and as a non-resort guest, you could only get times starting in the 8 o'clock hour. Looking at your other Tier 1 attractions, as a resort guest, for Jungle Cruise, you could get times starting around 2 o'clock, and shockingly, as a non-resort guest, you could actually get times earlier starting around 11 o'clock. I should note that I have seen it where Jungle Cruise is unavailable for non-resort guests. Big Thunder's basically the same on both. Space Mountain basically the same on both. Let's also look at the most popular Tier 2 attractions, starting with Pirates of the Caribbean. You could book about an hour earlier 7 days out compared to 3 days out, both in the afternoon. Haunted Mansion, you could book around 3:30 as a resort guest, close to 6 as a non-resort guest. And one that tends to go quickly, Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, around 3 o'clock as a resort guest, around 5:30 as a non-resort guest. So overall, there tends to be like a 2 to 3 hour swing between the two, with most of the time the availability being the late afternoon evening for your non-resort guests and a little bit earlier for your resort guests. Of course, the biggest difference at Magic Kingdom is that as a resort guest, you are much more likely to be able to get Tiana's Bayou Adventure for one day of your trip, especially again, if you book that one farther out, where it seems that's going to be much more difficult and much more rare as a non-resort guest. Now let's go on over to Epcot, starting with your fancy ride, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. As a resort guest, you had full availability starting around 10:30 in the morning. As a non-resort guest, you had availability starting around 1 p.m. Now the Tier 1 attractions. Remy's Ratatouille Adventure as a resort guest started around 4 p.m., an hour later as a non-resort guest around 5 p.m. I should note that I have seen it where Remy's Ratatouille Adventure is unavailable for non-resort guests. Frozen Ever After as a resort guest started around noon. Frozen Ever After as a non-resort guest started around 10. We're going to see it again with Mission Space, where the availability as a resort guest was around 3, and the availability as a non-resort guest was 11:30. My guess is that's because at Epcot there's not a lot of great Tier 2 choices, so everybody is booking Mission Space. So therefore the availability turns out a little wonky, as we've seen. Skylinering on over to Disney's Hollywood Studios, starting with our fancy ride, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. As a resort guest, you had lots of availability starting the mid-afternoon around 3 o'clock. As a non-resort guest, I was glad to still see Rise of the Resistance availability, but it wasn't available till 6:30 p.m. or later. The most popular Tier 1 at Hollywood Studios had times around 6 o'clock for resort guests, and an hour later, a little after 7 o'clock for non-resort guests. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm surprised to see both Rise and Slinky Dog Dash available for non-resort guests, because on other days I've been tracking, it has not been. Rock and Roller Coaster, very similar on either side, both starting with late morning times. Mickey and Minnie is about an hour and a half earlier as a non-resort guest. Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, also about an hour earlier as a non-resort guest. As a resort guest, Tower of Terror started in the 1 o'clock hour. As a non-resort guest, it started in the 3 o'clock hour. And Toy Story Mania started around 4:30 for resort guests and a little after 6 for non-resort guests. I should note that I have seen it where both Tower of Terror and Toy Story Mania are unavailable for non-resort guests. And lastly, let's head to Animal Kingdom. Fancy Ride, Flight of Passage, pretty much full availability on both of these. Navi River Journey started around 10 a.m. for resort guests, 1 p.m. for non-resort guests. Expedition Everest, basically full availability on both of these. Same thing with Dinosaur and Kilimanjaro Safaris. And Cali River Rapids had slightly more availability as a non-resort guest. Overall, I'm not surprised Animal Kingdom is the closest with near identical availability for both of them, because Animal Kingdom is the park people are buying this service at the least. So there's your side-by-side comparison. And remember, it's still very early with the system. We are still figuring out all of this information. But this is what it looks like for a random Wednesday in August, side-by-side resort guest on their check-in day, non-resort guest. Overall, there are a lot of similarities, and there were a few times where the non-resort guest had the leg up on some of the less in-demand but still popular attractions, I guess we'll call them. But more times than not, the resort guests definitely had the advantage on the most popular attractions in Walt Disney World. The fancy rides, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Slinky Dog Dash, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, the resort guests definitely have the leg up there, especially, I'm gonna harp this again, when you consider the fact that they can book for their entire stay. Now, that's not to say you can't book great things, you can't have a great time as a non-resort guest, you absolutely can, but it's obvious that this is a better advantage. This is also my reminder to you that because you can modify after you've booked and up until you're using it in the park on that very day, you should continuously check back if you weren't able to get something or get a time that you wanted, especially as a resort guest. Those better times that the non-resort guest had, as a resort guest, you could easily modify to those. But the same cannot be true going the other way, because some of that availability maybe isn't coming back. And with that, we're back to you. Park Molly, I think? There's so many of us now. Thanks, Professor Molly. Now, friends, that is a wrap on our second Multipass video. I know these videos are really long, but I hope they've been fun and helpful and are getting you feeling ready to go on your next Disney World trip. We've got more coming up, so stay tuned for those. In the meantime, friends, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, follow us on social media, come hang out with the Man Fam in Discord. And until next time, friends, I'm Park Molly, I'm Resort Molly, and I'm Professor Molly. And it's been magical. Bye!